For those of you who are new to FaxPulse, we're not going to do a full walkthrough of FaxPulse today. If you're interested in taking a deep dive into the software, please reach out to your account manager and we'll schedule a full demo where we can tailor it exactly to your needs. Today we're going to talk about some of the new features in FaxPulse. That'll also give you an idea of what FaxPulse can do. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Advantage. Most of you know us quite well, but we like to remind you of all of our distinguishing features. First off, we know RightFax. Our professional services team has helped hundreds of organizations implement RightFax and integrate it into their internal processes. Last year, I'm happy to say that we were recognized by OpenText at Enterprise World as one of the top 3 VARs in the information exchange segment. And as most of you know, our help desk is based in the US with representatives across the country. We never rely on an offshore support team. And finally, we think our customers are the best. We work with organizations of all sizes and in many different verticals. So we have a wide breadth of information on how RightFax is being used. And finally, we're an OpenText partner for both sales and support in RightFax. And we're also one of the few partners who act as a distributor for RightFax in North America. So we're very proud of that. All right. On to our topic for today. Let's talk a little bit about what FaxPulse is so that you have some background, especially for those of you who are new to it. FaxPulse is a bolt-on software for RightFax that provides much-needed analytics and expanded monitoring for RightFax systems. What do I mean by bolt-on? Well, FaxPulse is installed on a separate server that runs alongside your RightFax system. No agents need to be installed on your RightFax servers, and there's no downtime necessary as a result of installing or maintaining FaxPulse. We really want to have as little impact on your production RightFax system as possible. There are many dashboards in FaxPulse that are designed to get you the appropriate information quickly and easily. FaxPulse allows you to work from a high level and narrow down on the irrelevant information. Remember, FaxPulse keeps a copy of all of your fax metadata. Not your images, just the metadata. So you can be aggressive in your aging of faxes out of RightFax and still be able to track trends and look up important information. FaxPulse Monitoring and Alerting Engine is designed to make sure you're aware of any issues that may occur on your RightFax system. You can customize the error thresholds for each monitor so the system is tailored directly to your organization's needs. Alerts can be configured and sent to your administrative team, letting them know of a potential problem sooner rather than later. And I'm excited to say that FaxPulse is currently monitoring over 100 RightFax application servers, 2,500 channels, and tracking over 20 million pages of fax traffic a month. I want to thank all of our current customers who are on the call, and I look forward to working with those of you who are new to FaxPulse in the near future. All right. Now onto the fun stuff. First thing we're going to look at are the new features that we've added to the analytics portion of FaxPulse. So the first thing I want to tell you about is our new RightFax Connect usage dashboard. The current FaxPulse usage dashboard was designed to help admins understand their channel utilization. But now many of our clients have adopted RightFax Connect as one of their transports. And since cloud telephony has virtually unlimited capacity, we had to create an alternate usage dashboard that dealt with specifically RightFax Connect usage, those metrics that are important to RightFax Connect. You can see the KPIs listed on the screen there. Together, these metrics will help you keep track of how much traffic is being sent through your RightFax Connect transport. There's a lot of information there, but sometimes it's easier just to look at a screenshot. So let's take a look. This is what the Connect usage dashboard looks like. You'll see in the top left corner, we have our main KPIs. And you'll see that right now I have the week view highlighted in white. In the very top row, we have our total transmissions, 9,283 transmissions for that week. We can see those transmissions broken out as far as which were send versus which were received faxes. It's almost exactly even, just over 4,500 for each. And then we get to some new metrics, right? So those two were the same on the usage dashboard. Our new Connect metrics deal with total number of pages transmitted. So this is how many pages Connect reports is having transmitted for you. So we have 57,864 for the week. And we can also see how many minutes those transmissions made up in Connect. So that would be 52,359. Together, those numbers will help you really assess how much traffic you are pushing through RightFax Connect. At the bottom, you get the max concurrent transmissions, just to keep track of your peak sending periods. You know, if you wanted to look back at what it would look like, this is how many faxes you would be sending at the same time. Down at the bottom of this sheet, you get your Connect usage timeline, which is a trend chart. This will show you when you're sending faxes and how often those are coming. You'll see this traffic goes up and down over time as people use the system. On the right-hand side, we have our usage indicators. They haven't really changed substantially from the original usage dashboard, but now instead of dealing with channels, they're dealing with Connect connections, so maximum RightFax Connect transmissions. Hopefully, for those of you who are using Connect, this new dashboard will help you understand your traffic a little bit better. Now, if you aren't using Connect, the original usage dashboard is still in place. You'll still be able to see what your channel utilization looks like over time. This is a big step for those Connect channel, users that we have out there. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the next major change in our analytics portion. I've received a lot of questions about how do I see what users are using RightFax? Can I remove users off of the system? That led us to build the User Insight tool. There are 3 new tables that you have in FaxPulse: user metrics, user routing settings, and user usage. These are all bundled with the existing delegate roles report that we had originally. So you see what these are for. The first is a high-level volume metrics. You know, it's going to give you an idea of how many faxes people are sending through your RightFax system, and break that out by sent versus received. So you see here we have users in the first column. Each user is broken out. We have total faxes that were sent by that user for the period you have selected. This is for all time on a system. We have that total faxes broken out by sent versus received. And we also have the earliest fax they sent. So when was the first fax that RightFax or FaxPulse tracked on the system for that user? And when was their most recent fax? That way you can get an idea who's actually sending faxes or receiving faxes through RightFax and who isn't. And maybe you want to clear up some of those users, reduce overhead of maintenance, reduce the cycles that the system takes to even just enumerate the users. A lot of things are better when you have limited users on your RightFax system. So this will give you some confidence in removing or decommissioning some of those accounts. Our next table is user routing. This is a place where problems can happen with RightFax, especially with user creation. This will keep track of how your users are set up to receive inbound faxes. So for each user, you can see what format that file is going to come in. Maybe you don't have TIFF readers on everybody and you notice everybody's getting TIFFs. Maybe you want to change that to a PDF for delivery. Do you want to see where it's getting routed to? Is it going straight into a RightFax mailbox? The user needs to have FaxUtil, and maybe they don't have FaxUtil and don't know the faxes are there. Or are you sending it to Exchange or through SMTP to a user's email box? Or maybe even you're sending it to a network share. The easy place to audit all of that. You can filter this down by group and just look at everybody who should have similar routing patterns and make sure your system is set up correctly and your users are being created correctly. And our third new table is our usage trends table. This is going to give you information on how your users are sending faxes and how their fax or sending or receiving faxes and how their monthly totals or faxes are changing over time. Here we have all the users down the left-hand side, and we have a quick trend chart. It'll show you just graphically how that traffic is progressing. The next columns will show you each month how many faxes that user is accounted for. From that, you're going to be able to see, is traffic growing or shrinking? Who's using the system more? This is going to be really helpful for those of you that have a software integration with RightFax. Maybe you send all of your faxes through a specific account. Let's say, for example, you have an Epic system. You're putting an Epic system into your RightFax environment, and you're estimating that new Epic traffic is going to represent about 10,000 new pages in RightFax. So what do? You have to go add some channels to your system, make sure you're covered for that traffic. Okay, that's great. Let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's say that traffic's going to grow. You're going to be adding providers to it over time, and it's going to grow an estimated 10% each month. Okay, that estimation's correct. It's pretty simple to go ahead and buy enough capacity for the year. Make sure that you have enough coverage for those new added providers that you're going to put into the system. But what happens when that estimate's wrong? First off, how do you know that estimate's wrong until you get to the point where you're just completely overwhelmed on your RightFax system? Well, this chart's going to help you do that. It's going to allow you to see that growth over time, and you can see, oh, we're growing at much faster than 10%. We're going to need to get an order in for some more channels sooner rather than later. That's going to keep you from having any of those pains where your system is just overwhelmed, bogged down, and not performing the way you want it to be. Hopefully you'll find this pretty useful with your system. And then our delegate roles table hasn't changed. I don't even have a screenshot of it here, but in there you're going to be able to audit what users have access to which fax inboxes through delegate rights. And I think you'll see that that's very useful. So those are our changes for the analytics portion. You'll see that they're very helpful for managing your RightFax system and going to hopefully get you using your RightFax system a little bit better. Now we're going to talk about monitors. Monitors are a key part of FaxPulse. Right? So monitors will help you know when something is going wrong or maybe is amiss in your RightFax system sooner than they normally would. So we have a couple new monitors, but the first one I want to talk about is our fax volume monitor. This very flexible monitor is going to be extremely helpful for a lot of you. A lot of our existing users have asked for this from the beginning. With this monitor, you can be alerted when traffic on your RightFax system doesn't fit the expected parameters. For example, I have up here a new system monitor that I created. So we're talking about fax volume for a specific user. This is the B. Hoffman user. And we want to know, is his traffic under 10 faxes in the last 30 minutes? So we can track how many faxes he sent, and we'll know that if in the last 30 minutes he hasn't sent 10 faxes, there might be something wrong. Let's take, for example, again, I'll pick on Epic, right? Epic sends a lot of faxes out through a specific user. You could set up a system monitor that tracked your Epic Sys user. And you could say, I want to know when I haven't successfully sent a fax from Epic in the last 15 minutes. You just choose your user Epic, you choose sent faxes, you enter 15 minutes, you add that system monitor, and you say, I want to know whenever we're under that threshold. Well, there you go. You've got it. It'll check for the last 15 minutes. Do we have any successful faxes? If I have one fax that's okay, it's not a problem. We think the system's running, the RightFax is running correctly. But if you ever get to the point where there isn't one successful fax in the last 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 1 minute, depending on how busy your system is, FaxPulse can then generate an email for you and send it out to your team just to double check and make sure that everything is running as expected. I don't know, has your integration module stopped for some reason? Has somebody made a change on your file share so you can't get faxes in there? Just another way that you can know sooner that there might be a problem in your system. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of options on here, which means that you can do a lot of things with this one monitor. Let's take a really generic situation. Let's say you just want to check and make sure that at least once an hour a fax is going out through your system. Just to maybe check and make sure your telephony is not down or there's nothing strange going on. You can just count the number of sent faxes you had for all users on all groups and in your last hour. Click send an email on air. So if you don't have any faxes for the last hour, FaxPulse is going to send you an email and let you know. Maybe you need to look into something. Now, you can see that there's a ton of different ways that you can use this, right? Whether it's reporting on a group, reporting on inbound versus outbound. You can even track down to specific error messages. I want to know whenever I get a transmission error on my RightFax system immediately. So if you have more than one fax with a transmission error in the last minute, send me an email, send me an alert. You can know and go in and find out if there's something going on right away with your system. So very powerful monitor, a lot of options on what to do, and I'm interested to see how many of you will implement this new monitor. All right, so let me talk about another piece that kind of goes along with this. We've added working hours, days to the system, and also a way to implement holidays. What does that mean? So now you can put in what days is your office open. Monday through Friday, 8 to 8 a.m. On the screen I have every day of the week from 8 to 8 a.m. So you can now enumerate which days you want FaxPulse and which times you want FaxPulse to send you alerts. And it'll suppress any alert emails if the time frame is outside of the bounds that you set. In addition, you can enter all of your holidays into a simple Excel spreadsheet. It's a CSV file. And you just put each day that you want FaxPulse to not send you alerts. So if there's no traffic on Thanksgiving, you can put that date into the system, and it won't send you an alert should one of your monitors be out of scope. Really important for those new fax volume monitors, right? If nobody's working, no faxes are going to be going out. Maybe your offices are only open 12 hours a day. You don't need to be alerted all night about fax volume being low. So that was why it was important for us to add this in. It's easy to configure, and it should help cut down on any of those false positive emails from being sent. All right, excuse me. Let's talk about our last new monitor. This is the in-process fax monitor. We've always had the ability to show you what faxes were in process on your RightFax system across all of your servers. So you didn't have to flip from doc transport to doc transport and see what was going out. What we've now added is the ability to alert on that information. So now you can choose a specific fax status. Let's say you want to know whenever you have more than 20 faxes in conversion. Sure, some of you have seen times where your conversion engine gets hung up and faxes just start building up in that in conversion status. Never go to failed, but just sit there in conversion. Well, now you can set a threshold of 20 faxes in FaxPulse. It'll check for your in-process faxes, and it'll let you know when you're over that threshold. You can do that for any one of the statuses, so scheduled to be sent. If you're getting faxes built up there, you can see what's happening there. So this is a new helpful tool for tracking your current traffic, what's actually happening on your RightFax system in real time. Now, if you're not a current FaxPulse customer and you want to learn more, I'd be more than happy to walk through all the screens with you. Reach out to your account manager. Schedule a demo. We'll get on. We'll drill down onto each one of the metrics that we have. You know, there's over, I think we're up to almost 100, maybe even over 100 different metrics that we're tracking in FaxPulse right now. So you'll find that there's a lot of information to digest. So with that, I'll kick it back to Brianna, and we'll see if there are any questions that we need to take care of.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now we will move on to our question and answering session. If you have any questions, please send them now, and we will try to answer them. Okay, so we're going to do our first question. Question number 1. Can the fax volume monitor let me know when traffic for a specific user exceeds a given threshold?
Good question. I didn't really cover this, so the answer is yes. So it will track in both directions, and there's a drop-down that you can select. Alert when it's over the threshold or under the threshold. I dealt with mostly under the threshold, say we're not sending faxes, but let's say you wanted to track and see if a user is sending, I don't know, more than 100 faxes a day, just to get an idea of who's using your system the most. You could absolutely do that. And FaxPulse would send you an alert on that information. So absolutely, the question is yes, it'll track both directions.
Great. Okay, for our second question, can you explain a little more about how the working days and hours are configured? Do they apply to all monitors?
Good, yes. So the answer is yes. So that is a global system setting, right? You'll set FaxPulse to not send alerts on any monitor outside of working hours. You can still, of course, set it to run 24/7. If that's what you want. There's a checkbox for setting it for 24/7, and that'll just override any of your working hours or days settings in the system. And remember, there's still a button at the bottom if you just want to temporarily suspend alerts. Say you're doing some work on your RightFax system, you're going to be doing reboots or updates, you can just suspend alerts and not get flooded with any kind of FaxPulse emails, alert emails for the period of your maintenance. So, all right.
Great, thank you for answering that question. So that's all the questions we'll cover for today. Thank you for joining us and have a great day.